My name is Beth Dea. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Rise. Our CEO, Lori Smith, is on a short leave, but she joins me in expressing gratitude that you've taken the time to join us. So thank you. I'm looking forward to sharing some exciting updates with you. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the Indigenous communities of the lands we are on today. While this virtual platform brings us together from across Turtle Island, the Rise head office is located in Toronto. Toronto is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. So thank you again for joining us. I'm pleased to see so many of you in this call from across the country. It really is a wonderful assortment of our stakeholders, including donors, volunteers, and board members. This is the second town hall meeting that we've held. As Rise has grown and our networks grow, we wanted to find a way of keeping our national community informed about the impact of their support. So I will just ask people if they wouldn't mind muting themselves. We will have a Q&A after this presentation, and you can all come off and ask your questions then. So in terms of an agenda this afternoon, I'm going to share some highlights from the last year, and then I'll turn the screen over to my colleague, Nick, who is our Director of Programs and is best positioned to give you insights about our client-facing work. We'll wrap up with a Q&A. And then we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. And again, if you don't mind muting yourself so we don't have any interference. Thank you. All right, Nick, if you wouldn't mind starting the slide sharing. I think, Ian, if you wouldn't mind muting yourself. Thank you. All right. So this past April marked not only the end of our fiscal year, but also the successful completion of year 2 of our 3-year strategic plan called Rise Above. And what you see on the screen are the 3 pillars that drive everything we do at Rise. The major objectives of this plan are that we will deliver impact by increasing the breadth and depth of our programs to reach more people. We'll strengthen our community of volunteers and partners, and will improve our organizational sustainability through investment in systems, processes, infrastructure, and finding new revenue streams. If you can move to the next slide, please. So I'm really proud to report that fiscal 2023 was our biggest year yet. We supported more clients in more robust ways and through a larger array of programming than any other year before. And we could not have done it without the generous and continuing support of our donor and volunteer community. So thank you to everyone on this call today. Here are some of the things we're most proud of. We received more than 1,200 applications to our lending program, which is a 50% increase over the previous year. And we dispersed over 100 loans for the first time ever. So if any of you on this call are thinking that with 1,200 applications, we should be dispersing more than 100 loans, I will just say that we all agree with you. We know the demand is there, and we're working hard to grow our capacity to serve. We also developed and piloted our first ever Women Plus Entrepreneurship Training Program supported by the Ontario Trillium Foundation. And we were able to secure our first federal government funding to roll this program out nationally over the next 2 years. So that's a very big deal for us, federal government funding for a national program, which, by the way, will make us bilingual. We'll be providing these services in both English and French. With the support from Scotia Rise, we've grown the impact of our volunteer-led client success initiatives. Volunteers are critical to our business model, as most of you will know. Volunteers act as mentors and subject matter experts in both our lending and training programs. They adjudicate loan applications and, of course, serve on our committees and our board. We were able to deepen and expand our volunteer initiatives, including more mental health training, onboarding, and peer support events for volunteers. And again, thanks to Scotia Rise, we launched the Rise Community, a new digital platform for Rise clients, alumni, and volunteers to connect with their peers, access the support of subject matter experts, and get support for business challenges. One of my highlights from fiscal 2023 was the launch of our first named loan fund, the Marshall Pitfield Youth Loan Fund, which will allow us to support many more youth across Canada to shape their lives on their own terms through entrepreneurship. And finally, I'm pleased to report that we continue to grow our financial sustainability through revenue growth and prudent financial controls. This past year, we increased our revenues by 23%, and we managed to wipe out a board-approved deficit and finish the year with a small surplus, so we're very proud of that. And as I've said, this is thanks to you, most of you on the call today. Many of you here today are donors to our individual giving campaign called Rise Launch. And we're looking forward to growing this initiative, and we hope that you will help us by introducing your friends and your networks to Rise. So more on that later. Now I'd like to hand things over to Nick Yeo, our Director of Programs, who's going to do what he loves the most, which is use data and charts to tell you what we really do at Rise. Nick's going to remain off camera. He's recovering from a slight accident, and the camera is not his friend these days. So welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you everyone for your time today. And again, my apologies for staying off camera. So I am very pleased to share with you, our valued donors and supporters, the highlights of our programs in fiscal 23 and what we have accomplished. As Beth mentioned earlier, this was our biggest year ever in the history of Rise. On the lending side, we dispersed 106 loans, crossing that 100 loan mark. And in the training programs, we delivered 17 cohorts, which was a record for the team. This growth was made possible with our partnerships with Elizabeth Fry Society, Ontario Trillium Foundation, the Azrieli Foundation, the Ontario government, and Up With Women as well. And finally, as mentioned, we launched the Rise Community, this online networking platform, which was made possible by the generous support from Scotia Rise. I will go into more details of these accomplishments in later slides, but I wanted to ensure to take a moment that all of us here have a shared understanding of the programs that we offer to our clients. For over a decade, Rise programs have sat at the intersection of mental health and entrepreneurship. We are best known for our small business lending program that provides critical capital for an entrepreneur to launch or grow their business. Where traditional financing might have turned them down, our clients can access up to $10,000 in a low-interest term loan. On average, they receive $4,200 over a 2 or 3 year term. Clients in the lending program get one-on-one support from a business advisor who guides them in the development of a business plan and financial forecast that sets them on the pathway for financial sustainability. For those clients who aspire towards self-employment or may have an inkling of a business idea, our training programs give them the tools, skills, and confidence to turn that idea into a viable plan. In this past year, we delivered cohorts for youth, those under 30, adults, those above 30, as well as our Women Plus. We employ a cohort-based model led by experienced co-facilitators that creates a space for participants to learn, share, and celebrate with their peers. So as the following slides, I'll share present data from the past fiscal year, which covers the period of May 1st, 2022 to April 30th, 2023. We will look at who our clients are to help you understand the value of our volunteers and partners and how we are collectively delivering impact to improve the quality of life for our clients. So I hope that you leave today's presentation with a deeper appreciation of who we serve and how we meet their needs. So let's start of who our clients are and where they come from. They are national. They are coming from all parts of the country. We started off as a project between the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto and the Centre for Addiction and Mental Health. We then expanded our reach to 5 locations across Ontario. And over the last 5 years, we embarked on a national scaling strategy to expand to all parts of the country. And I'm very proud that we are supporting clients in 9 out of the 10 provinces. Like many organizations, COVID did force us to rethink our tactics and strategies, but we now deliver our programming in a virtual environment. Ontario, as you might imagine, still remains our largest source of clients, as you can see on the chart on screen. We have been in British Columbia for 3.5 years, and it's remarkable that in such a short period of time, they've become our second largest market, followed closely by the three prairie provinces. As a client-centered organization, understanding who we serve is a foundational part of our success. And as a data-driven organization, we collect and analyze a range of quantitative metrics. And given the feedback that we get on all elements of our programs, we use this to inform improvements to better meet our client needs. So I thought I'd take the next few slides to share about the demographics of our clients. In particular, three data points: their age, gender, and diversity. Beginning with our clients and their age, you will see that our clients are on average around 35 years old, with the largest percentage, 43% in that 26 to 35 year range. This is, expected given that we do have targeted youth training programs for the under 30 population, and lending clients tend to be a little bit older, about 39 to 40 years old. Like many organizations, we saw a profound effect of the COVID pandemic on our clients. Younger Canadians make up a greater proportion of the population affected by COVID and participating in the, quote, Great Resignation. And we've all heard how the pandemic has exacerbated everyone's mental health. In February 2022, Stats Canada released survey data that showed that 2 out of every 5 Canadians self-reported poor mental wellness. And for our young Canadians, there's a wider acceptance amongst them of their mental health and addiction issues. They are more open about their challenges. They use better language to reduce stigma and share their stories. And they also have high expectations of programs like RISE that are designed with their needs in mind. We also know that in today's uncertain economic environment, there's a greater appetite and a wider prevalence of self-employment as a viable career option, or just to supplement their existing income sources. So it's not a surprise that we see our client base getting steadily younger over the years. While the age of our clients has decreased, the gender of our client, the gender split, of our clients has remained around 60% that I've observed over the past 4 years that I've been at RISE. Like with youth, some of this is expected, with our Women Plus training program, which offers a feminist and decolonized approach to entrepreneurship training that is tailored towards the lived experience of our diverse women, trans women, and non-binary individual clients. Again, COVID has some role in the data that we see. Women Plus have been disproportionately impacted in the labor force, with many leaving and not many returning. Research has also shown that they do not have the same levels of access to capital to start their businesses. So traditionally, we expect that more women do come to RISE because of our smaller loan sizes that might support the business ideas. However, I will draw attention that this is the first time I've seen that proportion of lending clients drop below the 50% level. It is a bit too early to say whether this is an anomaly or an indication of a wider trend, but we will continue to monitor this and certainly will share more information as we learn about that. Now, while gender is one aspect of someone's diversity, it can be expressed in many different facets. And I'd like to share these two pie charts outlining the correlation between intersectional identities and mental health and addiction challenges. Quite simply, your mental health is at risk when you do not identify with what's quote unquote normal, and you are surrounded by systems and cultures that discriminate and marginalize your very existence. So therefore, it's not surprising that we see higher proportions of our clients from BIPOC communities, especially Black Canadians, and people who identify as LGBTQ+ when compared to the general Canadian public. This is also a strong indication of the continued work we need to do to ensure our program offerings reflect the unique needs of these groups. I'm now going to take the next few slides to talk about our lending program. So if anyone on the call has ever started their own business, you know the importance of access to capital. We began our journey in fiscal 2010 with 3 loans and ended fiscal 23 having dispersed 106 loans, which puts us close to 800 loans total, which is another huge milestone we hope to cross in the next few months. The total amount of dollars that we've dispersed comes to about $2.8 million. And we've had steady growth in the last 5 years in our loan program, and we're confident that we can hit 125 loans in fiscal 24. As Beth mentioned, the demand is there. We're seeing applications continually spike month over month, tripling in the past 3 years. However, we are still being very prudent with our lending decisions, and we won't expose ourselves to unnecessary risks to meet our targets and our goals. We employ a credit policy that maintains strong due diligence to identify and work with viable businesses. And who are those businesses? The chart that you see on screen right now is of the 106 loans dispersed last fiscal, the different industries that they are a part of. This categorization is determined by the RISE team. Given the loan size of the average loan size of $4,200, the breakdown that you see is expected, given that these types of businesses tend to have smaller capital expenditures and often rely on e-commerce to extend their reach. We've also seen that many of the products and services offered by our clients tend to relate to one's mental health and addiction recovery process. And as you can see, it spans from clothing and accessories, creative enterprises, health and wellness, pets, photography, and videography. Each client has a different definition of success, but all of these businesses provide dignity-based outcomes for every one of their owners. And the trust that we place in these individuals and the confidence that we give them to actually start their journey as entrepreneurs, for those who have been deemed too risky by virtue of the mental health and addiction challenges, is not shown in the data that we have with our loan portfolio. We see a very strong loan portfolio picture, ending the year, as you can see, ending last fiscal year with just over $1 million outstanding in loans, which is a real milestone for us. We're also very proud of the 88% repayment rate, which has actually stayed consistent prior to COVID. Part of this is we offer flexible repayment options for our clients. We do not charge any sort of fee if they do happen to miss a payment. And regardless of the reasons, we work with them to ensure that they are still able to meet all of their obligations and service their loan. This strong affinity to our RISE brand helps us understand that 15% drop in our portfolio between fiscal 20 and 21 during the height of COVID. Obviously, we reduced our operations, so the volume of loans that we dispersed was lower than targeted, but we also saw a record number of early redemptions as our clients who received government support through CERB and CRB chose to use those funds to pay their loan back to RISE. Sound financial management is just one of the many skills our clients gain, in addition to a host of other skills that are imparted on them through our national roster of dedicated volunteers and volunteer mentors. And again, I want to send my thanks to those volunteers attending our call today for your contributions to our client success. In fiscal 23, we engaged 169 volunteers through the 3 different streams that you see on the chart on the left. The impact our clients and our mentors have with each other, 57% of clients say that the mentor has been matched with help to develop resilience in the face of challenges and setbacks in their business, while 50% say that their mentor played an important role in their business success. I mentioned earlier, financial management is one of the skills we see imparted on our clients, but problem solving, critical thinking, networking, and social media are also key skills, business skills that are critical for our clients and their success. So thank you to Scotiabank and Scotia RISE for your support in taking our volunteer program to the next level. And thank you again to our volunteers who are with us today. Your contributions are core to our business model. Since the inception of RISE, we've had over 850 volunteers donating more than 13,000 hours. We could not afford to pay for your time and talent. So again, we do appreciate the fact that you allow us to extend our impact for every one of our clients, whether it's through the one-on-one mentoring relationships, participating in our training program curriculum through group mentoring, or sitting on our loan adjudication committee to review the riskier and larger loans that we offer to our clients. You are critical to our programs, and it's all for greater client success, which is why I'm very excited to share today that we launched the RISE community in this past fiscal year, as mentioned by Beth. Based on internal research, we determined that our clients would benefit from an online community, which is hosted on Mighty Networks. The RISE community offers a space where our clients and alumni can access consistent business advice, share knowledge with fellow entrepreneurs, and cultivate a sense of solidarity. Since our launch in May 1st, we've been growing the population on there with 160 members, and new members are joining every day. And they can turn to the community for the support when they need it, where they need it. We've hosted more than 15 digital events on this platform, including live Q&A chats with subject matter experts in marketing, sales, finance, as well as peer-to-peer support group sessions. So as the community grows, we are very excited to share more about the successes and milestones that we achieve with the community. As I mentioned earlier, we believe that every client's definition of success is unique to their specific circumstances, and that their individual journey will take many paths. But at the end of the day, there is one more key metric that can help put all of our work into perspective about the impact that we have, and that is business survivability. For the first time in Rise's history, we're proud to share that 80% of our clients are still operating their business after receiving their loan. Even at that 5-year mark at 75%, our clients are faring better when you compare them to other surveys done on new Canadian businesses, where there's been a range of survival rates at the 5-year mark between 50% to 2/3 of businesses still in operation. I'm very pleased to share this because it proves that our model works, that empowering Canadians with mental health and addiction challenges to start and grow businesses is a viable pathway to financial sustainability, social inclusion, and improved quality of life, which is demonstrated in our impact measurement. At Rise, we don't measure success through one-off interactions with our clients. It's not just giving someone a loan or teaching them the basics of entrepreneurship. Like many organizations in the charitable and nonprofit sector, we use a logic model and a theory of change to measure our impact. For us, that means our ultimate outcome, is improved quality of life for people with mental health and addiction challenges. We conduct a social inclusion survey that measures many data points, and this framework lays a foundation for us to understand our impact and report this to funders, donors, and the general public. The 3 stats on screen are just 3 I wanted to share today from our recently completed survey in March 2023. When you consider that our clients have been turned away from every other avenue to pursue their dreams and have been told no countless times, you can only imagine the hope and validation they feel when Rise says yes. And as a result of working with Rise, they experience long-term transformative change in all aspects of their lives. And at the end of the day, this is best exemplified by the clients themselves. So I'd like you to meet Chloe. Chloe was a training client from St. Catharines, and like many of our clients, she used her experience with Rise to catapult herself to great things. I'm honored that our team at Rise played a fundamental role in Chloe's growth as a businesswoman, as well as a person. And Chloe has given back to Rise by participating in one of our RBC Foundation-supported Entrepreneurship Insights webinars, where she shared her experiences of managing her mental health with her business to other Rise alumni. It's stories like Chloe's that validate for me personally that we are making a real difference in the lives of our fellow Canadians who have faced challenges and have demonstrated a real resilience. So finally, what's ahead of us in fiscal 24? Beth mentioned earlier that our focus will be increasing our capacity to serve more Canadians who experience barriers as a result of mental health and addiction challenges. So as a team, we are eager to harness the momentum we've built to help more people and grow our impact with every loan dispersed and every training graduate. We're excited to formally launch our Women Plus Entrepreneurship Training Program, thanks to the federal government, and take the first steps towards expanding to the north. Our work is already underway to build a more robust community nationally by harnessing the time and talent of volunteers, partners, and clients, which has led us to create a client success department so we can enhance our holistic continuum of support for entrepreneurs with mental health and addiction challenges. Technology is one way that will allow us to grow capacity, to manage our workflows and application volumes. And we are also excited to explore social financing as a way to leverage our loan portfolio asset to attract impact investors who will help us grow our reach and impact so much more. We are very committed to these priorities, and we look forward to sharing these results with you in a year's time at our 3rd town hall meeting. thank you again to our volunteers, our donors, our supporters, and key stakeholders today for the valuable role that you play in making this impact possible. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it back to Beth to moderate our Q&A. Sorry, Beth, you're still on mute.
Yep, I am. And what I said was, thank you very much, Nick. That was a really great presentation. And we really do rely on Nick here at RISE to bring the data analytics and the data-driven perspective to the work that we do. So I did want to open it up for Q&A. And what I would suggest is, if you want to raise your hand, use the little raise hand, or if you can't find it, just come off mute and ask any questions. And while you're doing that, I'll just emphasize a couple of points that Nick made. One was about Chloe giving back. We have other clients that come into that are giving back. They come and speak in our classes, and they sit on advisory committees. And we're really hoping that one day soon we'll have a RISE alum possibly on our loan review committee or other board committees. So, we are grateful for the perspective that our alumni bring to our programs. And the other thing I wanted to point out, Nick had that chart about the size of our loan portfolio. It did drop down during COVID, and he's absolutely right. A lot of it was because we had a lot of loan redemptions, which really just shows me that our clients are making good decisions and looking after their debt. And my third point was about our default rate. So the 88% repayment rate, we're quite proud of that, and we have maintained that. I will say, though, that if our interest rates keep going up, it does make us a little bit worried about the risk of our portfolio. So far, we haven't seen increased delinquencies, but as those interest rates keep going up, it just makes it harder for our clients. So we have our fingers crossed that we've got inflation under control, and maybe that will settle down. So I don't know if anybody has questions, but please fire away. Anybody?
It's George Cope. Beth, I haven't got a question. I just wanted to congratulate you and your team. I think it's remarkable when I think of the journey of RISE. I hope everyone's there very proud of what they've done. It's clearly working and making a dramatic impact. So thank you. That's really my comment. Thank you very much. Very impressive.
Thank you very much, George. It's nice to hear from you. Anybody else?
I had my hand up, but I'll lower it now. It's Jim Rahman here. I would like to thank everybody on the other side, because I appreciate the thanks as a volunteer, but you've clearly managed to get a good level of capacity and people to scale and keep this going. So it's really good to see that we're part of that. What I'm interested in hearing about is, one, have you looked into the incremental difference that RISE has made for individuals? So if they didn't get these loans, where would they be? And I mean that in a kind of constructive way. So when you talk back to the federal government or to municipalities to partner with, say, well, look, we're helping people at an individual level, but also in terms of the feedback loops, in terms of EI saved, hospital hours saved, more taxes paid, more employment developed, and you could do your consulting calculation and scale that. You've got something that adds to the momentum. Maybe you're already doing that. Is that something that you've tried to do, or that you are doing? And are you speaking with municipalities as well as the federal government to sort of get onto the local level?
So I can answer some of that, Beth. So Jim, that is a fantastic question, and it's certainly something we do consider the incremental impact that RISE clients have on the wider Canadian society. Part of that social inclusion survey that we recently completed does ask about the level of provincial income support our clients are taking from the provincial governments, and have they been reducing that over time, over the past 12 months, as a result of their increased capacity to make a living through their business. So there certainly are, I don't have the data at hand right now, but we certainly have seen a proportion of our clients who are, relying less on provincial government support, which is always a great news story that we can share with our partners in the provincial governments. When it comes to working with municipalities, that hasn't been a direct strategy of ours yet, but it's certainly something we can think about is how do we communicate our impact wider. And the last thing I'll mention is, we have started participating in various research projects that look at entrepreneurship at a wider level. So we represent the diverse and disabled community entrepreneurs in some of these studies. So part of those work might look at some of those other measurements and of the impact of our clients that they have on the wider society. So I'm glad you raised that question. It's certainly something we want to expand as we become more sophisticated with our impact measurement and understanding the results of our clients. Beth, anything else you'd like to add?
No, you did a great job, Nick. The only thing I would add is on the side of municipalities, we do work with a number of community foundations, and that's about as close as we're getting to municipal conversations right now. And I also did want to give a shout out to Jim, who asked the question, because you may not remember this, Jim, but I've been with RISE for 7 years now, and you were one of the first volunteers I met there. So thank you for your ongoing support. You've gone over and above. Okay, anybody else with a hand in the air? Don't think so. Okay. All right. If there's nothing...
there's a hand with Kareem. Go ahead, Kareem. Oh, sorry, we still can't hear you. I'm not sure if you have another device. No, sorry. If you'd like to put your question in the chat, we're happy to address that. And while Kareem's doing that, if there's anyone else who'd love to ask a question, we're happy to answer.
And I'll just, while we're waiting, I'll do another shout out to the RISE staff that are here. And those of you who know us from our Rotman days may remember that, certainly from my perspective, when I joined RISE, there were 5 employees and we are now 20. So we have definitely grown.
I have a second question. It's not a follow-up. It's different. What type of tools or needs do the funds go towards? I know you've got a diverse set of borrowers, but can you say, are these for further qualifications? Are these for, it would be good to know, because I think partly with this diverse volunteer group, helps us connect into things. Hey, I know a bit about that. Maybe I can add something else into the RISE discussion with that knowledge.
Yes, I can answer that somewhat. I would say, so there's really 3 things that we raise money for at RISE. We have our training programs, and those are supported in large part, I would say, by foundations and provincial governments. So our friends at the Azrieli Foundation and RBC Foundation, the Ontario Ministry of Community, and I always get the acronym wrong, somebody help me, MCCSS, fund our training programs, as well as City. And the second piece that we raise money for is our loan fund, which is completely different. It's not operating, it's the money that we lend out, and we have a number of major partners there. And Nick mentioned at the very end of his presentation that we are launching a social finance initiative, which is it's an opportunity for us to leverage this valuable asset that we have, which is a loan portfolio, which most charities don't have, to attract impact investors who are looking for a way of supporting organizations and the people we serve, that while still meeting their investment strategy. So that's the loan capital. And then everything else in between is our lending program. So the biggest expenditure for our lending program is our people. So we have a number of our business advisors on the call today, and they are the ones that work one-on-one with every single client that applies to us. We're working hard at getting this number down, but they spend about 20 hours with every loan that we issue. So it's very much it's a labor intensive job. We're working at trying to find some efficiencies using technology so that we can grow and serve more clients. But it's really the work they do that where our fundraising goes.
And just to add, one thing, Beth, just to add a bit more context at the client level, the funds that our loans go to are for any number of uses, but we tend to see them on startup costs related to getting your business, your business license and registration, your first and last month's rent, website costs. A lot of our clients use our funds for inventory and supplies. A few of them have some key equipment that they need to start their business, and many of them also have some working capital to allow them to survive those first critical few months. So I see Kathy has her hand up, and then Kareem, I think your mic is working again. So maybe Kathy, if you have your question.
I do. Hello. And pardon me for not knowing if you do, but do you offer programs for people who aren't looking for capital? So just for training on how to do business and whatnot?
Yes. So in addition to our lending program, our training program stream allows us to impart that basic knowledge of entrepreneurship skills and how to turn that business idea into a viable plan. This is done through a number of ways. We have cohorts of training clients that span from 8 to 10 weeks, depending on the cohort. They meet either 2 or 3 times a week for about 90 minutes to 2 hours per session. So it's very intensive, but it allows them in a safe space to learn from each other, to ask those questions on how do they turn the idea into a plan, and ultimately come away with skills in public speaking, skills in increasing their confidence, understand how to talk about their product market fit. So all of the the foundational skills you need to launch a business, we provide to them. And in addition to the cohort model, we also have an online platform for those who prefer to self-teach. So there are 16 modules on our enterpriseingu.ca platform that uses videos, animations, quizzes, and exercises to build that plan at a self-pace. Kareem, if your mic is working,
I hope it is.
It is. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. I just wanted to make a comment regarding the level of repayments. The 88% is an extraordinary number. Only because in the world of lending and commercial lending, just generally, these are figures that we don't actually get to see very often, but it's great. And just to give you sort of an example, during COVID years, there was a Canadian program, and it's called the Canada Emergency Business Account Loans. And about $49 billion went out to about 900,000 businesses. And only 21% of the businesses have actually fully repaid their loans as of the end of May. And so it's an extraordinary testament to not just the program at Rise, but the continuous mentoring, the continuous support, the advice, and the sort of the non-predatory way of doing businesses with people who genuinely want to have something for themselves and for their families. And it just makes it so much better. So it's a great testament, again, to the strategy, to the people behind Rise. And it's just an extraordinary opportunity for people like me to be a small part of that. So congratulations on that. I just wanted to make sure that this is a piece of news that's quite amazing.
Thank you, Kareem. And again, thank you for being a fantastic volunteer of ours and supporting our clients. It's absolutely true that the financial management and financial literacy of our clients, for those who have faced profound challenges in their life, those are lifelong lessons on how to manage every dollar and every cent. So it's not surprising, again, that behavior is shown in the way that they service their loan. And it's unfortunate that other financing institutions don't see that. But we're happy to be the vanguard, if you will, of really embracing all Canadians, regardless of their financial status.
Thank you, Karima. I'll add to that. I often say, you know, that's why we're a charity. We have the luxury of being a little more accommodating than a traditional financial institution can be. And so our lending program team, led by Anne, who's here today, and Vlad, who's sitting in the boardroom and talks to every single one of our clients when they have payment problems. That's what we do, and that's why it's so labor intensive. They talk to a person and we come up with a plan for them to be successful, because in the end, nobody wants to default on a loan. So we help them to be successful in making their payments. And I see David's got his hand up.
Well, actually, so does Kathy. So
I think she probably hasn't taken it down yet.
oh, okay. I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer the question if you don't want to, but I know it when Nick was doing his presentation, he mentioned that 59% of the clients were women, and Nanea obtained, what was it, I think 45% of the lending. And then he did express some concern about that. Anyway, so that's nice. So next year, I'm hoping to see that match a little closer. But in the meantime, I have read that women have a tendency to pay back loans at a higher rate than men. As now, once again, you don't have to answer the question, but you know what the question is. Has Rise made that a similar observation?
I definitely want to answer that question because the answer is yes. And Nick has probably got the statistics, but I will say at a high level, relatively, yes, women pay us back more than men.
Yes, unfortunately, David, I don't have the exact number in mind, but we certainly can pull that up and share that with you.
Well, I don't need to know what the number is. I just want to know if you were noticing the same pattern, and then that might maybe put more pressure on trying to get if the women are applying at, 59% of your clients are women, well, then maybe try to understand why they're not getting 59% of the funding. That's all. That's all. Next year, I'll check into you next year.
Well, and next year will be different, I will say, because of this federal funding that we got. We've actually hired 2 new individuals, both of whom are on this call. One of them to work directly with our female lending clients, and one of them to execute a new Women Plus training program in English and French. So David, I think you're right. I think we will see those numbers be quite different next year at this time. All right. So one last call for questions, if anybody's got one. Otherwise, I'll give you 15 minutes back with one more expression of gratitude. We're all so pleased that you were here. Like I said, our business model is reliant on our volunteers, and it's just so lovely to see all of you here. And of course, our donors, we couldn't do what we do without not just your one-time support, but your ongoing support, which is really important to us. So I do want to, Anne has made a comment that I would just want to read out. One of the things that may have affected our women identifying percentage is a increasing percentage of people who choose not to identify as male or female. That's a good point, Anne. Yeah. So thank you to Nick for making that wonderful program presentation. Thank you to all of you. If you have any questions, there was one chat, I'm going to reach out to Nick about our work in the social finance world, and I'll probably be picking your brain very soon. So thanks to all of you, and have a great afternoon.